Roll Tide, roll! Dominating performance last night by the Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's why I wanted to let you have the intro. I felt it was right for you to start it off saying Roll Tide.
Rumor has it.
I knew you'd say Roll
Rumor
Tide.
has it.
You heard that when you sat down? You heard the song rocking? Mm-hmm. Good morning, SportsZonians!
Rumor has it Alabama's won 3 of the last 4.
We waited 40 days for a wasted time game. Yeah, I put it that way.
You can put it that way. And listen, to the average fan, I completely understand that last night's game might not have been the most exciting game for you to watch. Most people probably turned it off after 21 points were scored in the first 15 minutes and 5 seconds.
I gave it to halftime.
28-0 at half. Yeah. You knew there was no coming back. Even Brian Kelly going into the locker room at half was priceless.
Even Notre Dame knew it was, yeah.
Like the coach is just
for those that did shut it off, why don't you let them know what Brian Kelly said?
Brian Kelly, during halftime, they interviewed him. They said, "Oh, Brian, well, what do you got to do to get your team back on track in the second half? What do you got to do to improve and get back in this game?" And he just turned and looked at the camera and said, "Well, Alabama not to show up in the second half, you know." And he was like, "Listen, you know, they're big, physical, dominating, and I just don't." I don't know why we're getting. Oh wait, yeah, I do know why.
Because they're big, physical, and dominating.
Yeah, and he just he had no words for it. He was almost awestruck. That's the way it seemed to me as they were playing the game. After the first drive, they looked like deer in headlights. Like they didn't know which way was up. All the bright lights, all the people. They were just like, whoa. And they stayed that way all game. The kid Golson just couldn't get on a roll. The running game never got going.
32 yards. 32 yards they ran for. That was it.
It's Alabama's D. They don't allow much from running.
Literally, that was it.
Their game plan, you know, just didn't work out. They were hoping the Golson route, you know, and just he's no Johnny Manziel. I can tell you that. He's no Johnny Football.
No, he's not. But that game, man.
And their defense, all year long, I heard about their defense. All year long. Oh, they've got the best defense. They've got the best. Listen, I'll tell you who has the best defense. Alabama has the best defense. They do. I don't care about those red zone stats. If they only allowed 5 red zone touchdowns all year, Alabama had 5 red zone touchdowns yesterday.
Yeah. That game, I'm more.
They don't allow any drives over 80 yards. Alabama has 4 drives over 80 yards that go for touchdowns, and all of those pretty much. Yeah, they had 4 go for over 80 and 1 went for 97.
Yeah, their opening drive was 82 yards, and it was the first drive all year Notre Dame gave up of over 75 yards.
Yep.
It was, look, Alabama put on a great game. I don't want to take anything away from them. Notre Dame, I'm not even going to give them the excuse of, oh, they were unprepared or they didn't show. No, I'm not giving you any. Look, you had 37 days to get ready for this game. And like I said it to Erich on the ride down. You could tell from the first play of the game by Alabama with the play action for a 28-yard gain. As soon as that happened, you could just tell Notre Dame was like, "Ah, crap!" Like they played on their heels the rest of the game. They couldn't tackle. They could Monte Teo, the guy that was in New York City for the Heisman Trophy presentation.
He missed 2 tackles all year. That is it. All year. They went back and actually looked at all the game film of all the games. They had 2 people on 2 different TV sets watch every single Notre Dame game. 2 missed tackles all year. He had 2 missed tackles
in the first quarter.
5 minutes.
That's what I mean. And it was just Notre Dame got smacked in the mouth. Now the SEC shows people once again why they're the best conference. But what bothers me, and I saw Joey mention and Jay Balls and Noose mention in our chat room, like, to wait this long for this kind of game like I understand for you as a Bama fan and for Bama fans all around the country that it was awesome. And it was a great time, and you loved watching your team dominate. As an Irish fan, oh my God, it was probably one of the most depressing 3 hours of your life.
No, it was embarrassing. That's the way any Notre Dame fan I talked to yesterday, I mean, text messages, whatever, Facebook.
Oh, we're getting a phone call. You're on with SportsZone. Who's this?
Roll Tide.
This is Fife. Good morning.
Good morning, Fife. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well.
I think you know how I'm doing.
Oh, you're doing great.
This is a day where I'm just going to smile, people.
Can I just say that from an outsider's perspective, I don't like either team. I've been saying for a month now that Alabama was just going to kill them. Because Alabama, you look at that team, it's a college football team that can go and play a team like the Cleveland Browns and probably smoke them. Whereas Notre Dame is just another college football team. They were going to kill them. There was no doubt about it. They let up a couple of weak touchdowns at the end that, was what it was, but they smoked them. And it was just going to happen. It wasn't even a question. I didn't even have to watch the game. I woke up and saw 42-14, and that's what I figured, and I watched it in replay.
It was for all that Notre Dame did this year, it was very disappointing to see the lack of a competitive performance, to say the least. I was they just couldn't though. It's nothing against. It's not like they didn't try.
There's just nothing they could do. Look, if you put Alabama and switch them in for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I bet you Alabama could go 6-10 in the NFL with that schedule.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame would go 0-16. It's a totally different level of play. They've been better off playing an SEC team in the national championship game. You would have got a better game. Unless Urban Meyer does something with Ohio State, I just don't see it. The Farm Boys beating the South Boys for a while. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. And the kid McCarron, I was most impressed about him was his control at the line of scrimmage. He's pretty good.
Even when he got into it with his
Alabama
center?
quarterback I've seen in a while.
Yeah, he looked
He
good, man.
set the school record for TD passes yesterday as far as overall for his career. He's coming back next year. He's actually only a junior. He's coming back. They have they'll have the kid Yeldon and also Amari Cooper back next year. They're going to look pretty good. And McCarron, he's a guy that just doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't have a lot of flash and he doesn't have a lot of huge numbers. But I mean, this is I want to say his fourth game this year with 4 TD passes, and he just doesn't turn the ball over. And I can't stress how important that is to a team. When you have a quarterback that you don't have to worry about him going in and making stupid mistakes. He throws the ball away. He takes a sack when he needs to. He does the little things that keeps your ball club out of trouble.
And doesn't put the defense in bad situations.
He really doesn't. He really doesn't. He's as good and I hate to use the word game manager for him because I really think that this can translate to the pro level in some way. Maybe not as a starter somewhere, but as a serviceable backup somewhere. I mean, the kid's got some talent. He can throw and he makes smart decisions. There has to be a part on your ball club.
I got a trivia question for you guys. And Eric, you probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You might have asked it yourself, but I might have missed that show. Since 1936, how many national championship quarterbacks have won on to win a Super Bowl?
Zero? I feel like it's such a random number. 3?
3.
That's it.
I know. Was Namath one of them? No.
Namath, Montana, and the other guy played for Alabama. Give me one second.
Stabler?
I can't remember his name. Yeah, he split time.
Stabler?
He played for Alabama, went on to win a Super Bowl. And then the fourth would be kind of like, there's kind of a fourth, but not really. He played 4 games for Oklahoma in the beginning of the year, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. It was Aikman, but he got hurt, so he didn't play in a national title game, so we can't really give that to him, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. It's hard to give.
Anonymous put in the chat Bart Starr, but
That's going bad. I think Bart Starr. He was he played in the NFL in the 60s.
I'm not old enough to know whether or not Bart Starr won a Heisman.
I have
I'm
no
gonna be
idea.
honest, so.
But I do know Bart Starr. Was a
when I
great
saw how good
quarterback.
McCarron played, it was a question that came to my mind. Just kind of wondering how many guys have gone on to do it. So I looked it up. The answer to the question was 3 from what I saw. So when I looked at a couple different places.
I mean, either way, even if it's 4, you're still talking how many guys that haven't. Hundreds.
Yeah,
maybe
less
even
than a handful have. That's pretty wild.
You're at a nice high number with that one. So that's a pretty nutty comparison if you really think about it. So let me ask you real quick, Fife, before we let you get out of here. What do you think the wait is really worth it? Like, do you think that they should be putting this game off by a full month and a half?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's probably going to change once the playoff system comes into play.
It is going to change because they're going to do the semifinal game like that week before the 1st of January, and then they're going to do the championship game, I think, like the Monday after New Year's, is what I heard. The reason that they wait as long as they do is because they have other bowl games to play, and you got to get all the games in. You can't play every game at all at the same time. So you kind of got to let the other games play out, and they saved this one for the last because it's supposed to be that you save the best for last. It just hasn't happened recently, and it hasn't happened because no other conference out there is as strong as the SEC. So when it comes down to the national championship game, they're not as good because none of these teams are as good as SEC teams. It's just what it comes down to. Nobody's knocking them off their pedal.
I mean, these guys have the cream of the crop. They have guys that their whole life is football. Everything they do revolves around football. And they have that recruiting advantage, and they will for a long time until youth programs get better around the country than they are in the South, and I don't see that happening.
No, at least a long way away, that's for sure.
It's just
and then they pull Texas A&M into the SEC. Now they're pulling players from Texas. I mean,
yeah.
Good luck.
It's going to be tough for a lot of teams, but somebody, that, and a lot of people are tired of the SEC's dominance. They're tired of seeing an SEC team win. It's boring to some other people around the country, but the way I look at it is somebody else has just got to step up and knock them off their pedestal. If you don't like it, if you think somebody else should be there, step up and beat them. Nobody's beating them. They get a chance every year to take them down, and nobody's done it for the last 7. And really,
I think the playoff might help that a little bit, or you just might see a very SEC-dominated playoff.
Well,
that's what I said to Eric. I'm like, you're going to see 3 of the 4 teams in the playoff being from the SEC anyway.
Well, the BCS, since the BCS has been around, the SEC has won 9 national championships. This is a stat ESPN put up last night, so you may have seen him, you may not. But, Dave, do you know how many national championships the next conference has closest to them? The SEC has 9.
No idea.
Take a guess. The next closest to them, they have 9.
4.
Pac-12.
Nope, it's the Big 12. You're close, Fife. But do you know how many? 2.
No.
2. And they are the only conference other than Alabama with multiple. Every other conference only has 1. I think the Pac-12 has 1, and the ACC has 1, and there's one other conference with 1. It's just domination. When you have, I don't know, and those 9 championships are done by 5 different schools, including Tennessee, LSU, Auburn, Florida, and Alabama. 5 different schools.
See, to me, for those that say it's not fair, I don't think you can say that. Because I understand that money does have an impact in TV ratings and that kind of stuff. But the bottom line to me when I look at college football is it's about your recruiting ability. Can you sell the kids to come to your school? Can you sell them?
The University of Texas and the Ohio State actually, for the last few years, have brought in more money to their program than Alabama has. It's not just about the money. It's about recruiting, it's about coaching, and it's about the style of play. They're just bigger and more physical, and a lot of teams can't. The line of scrimmage last night was dominated on both sides of the ball by Alabama's line, whether it was the defense or the offense. I mean, Barrett Jones, for having a foot injury and being in a walking boot a week ago, he stood that kid Nix up by himself all night long, which is
That
huge.
kid's going to be a good offensive lineman for a long, long time.
He's won the top offensive lineman for all three positions, guard, tackle, and center, and he's won all three national championships he's won have been at three different positions.
I was hearing them talk. That's one of the reasons why I was running late this morning, because I was watching them talk to the players, and then, they go off with their little NFL thing. So I was sort of hooked on ESPN.
But Alabama's going to have three linemen in the draft. It looks like they're going to lose three of their offense. Well, they're definitely going to lose two. They're going to lose the kid Womack.
Both their
and they're
tackles,
gonna lose,
right?
No, they're going to lose Barrett Jones, because Barrett Jones was a fifth-year senior. They're going to lose the kid Womack. And then the other tackle you're talking about, Quanjo, he's undecided whether or not he's going to come back. I hope he comes back. Be nice to keep some of the line intact, but that's
I got
the
full
best.
confidence that they got a bunch of big hog mollies just itching to get into the game.
That's
Did you just
exactly
say
what I was
hog
just.
mollies?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is because they just got some big boys waiting in the wings that they'll just. And that's the thing, is that Alabama just keeps restocking their talent pool with more talent.
With a freshman running back, dude, you can't even really get into it. But talking college football, I got to throw one thing in for Penn State. I got to give O'Brien a lot of credit. He had a chance to go anywhere he wanted, and he stayed, even with all the stuff that's going on there. So I give that guy a lot of credit, and I'm glad to see that my favorite college football team is going. And, the guy just kind of seems like a Nick Saban-type coach to me. I kind of like him. So hopefully he sticks around.
Saban is going to stick around. That's what he's been telling everybody and anybody, so I tend to believe it. And apparently I've actually also heard in the last day or so that he's kind of a little bit driven, especially after this win now, to have 4 national championships, to reach Bear Bryant's number of 6 and maybe even try and surpass it. That would be pretty remarkable.
Being where he is.
I
Well,
mean,
you know what I saw, too? I watched that high school all-star game. I'm going to go soon. Sorry, guys. But I watched that high school all-star game, and I saw a couple guys. They had options to go to a couple of places, one being Alabama, and a lot of times they were choosing the other school. It seems like these schools are starting to talk them into, say, hey, let's knock these guys off. Like a lot of guys chose LSU. So I'm sure they got some good recruits coming in, but you see some of the better guys going elsewhere now trying to knock them off.
yeah, I just still think it's a lot about the coaching, and I just think Nick Saban's coach. He can coach anybody up. I think he can take a kid from just about any school.
Well,
and
it's
coach him
funny
up.
because that you bring that up, because when I flipped back to the game, I wanted to see some of the trophy presentation. I wanted to see him get the Gatorade dumped on him after last year getting rocked in the head with the Gatorade thing. I wanted to see how that went. But I happened
He
to
kind of embraced the Gatorade
He
thing
was
this
cool
time.
with it today, yeah. But I ended up putting it on with like 3 minutes left in the game. I got there a little early, and the announcers were pointing out something about Saban that I thought was just a credit to the kind of coach that he is. They pointed out the fact that he coaches harder in those moments of the game than he does at any other time, because for him, you should, even though perfection is impossible, you should always try and chase it. And that's such a great attitude to have as a head coach. You understand that you will never be perfect. You understand that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to be perfect. It doesn't mean you shouldn't give it everything you've got. And for him to be looked at by his peers as a tougher coach when his team's up 35 or 28 points with only 3 minutes left in the game than he is on opening kickoff is just a credit to the kind of head coach he is. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, from a coach's perspective, if you expect that out of your players, you have to show it yourself. And if you don't,
He shows
your players
it. I
don't
mean,
believe in you as much.
Exactly.
He didn't put up with anything yesterday. It didn't matter how late in the game it was. If there was something going on, he was on top of it, yelling and screaming and all fired up. Because he knows, listen, it's not just about this year. You don't give up on any play. You play 100% from start to finish, no matter who's in the game or what's going on. You finish the game strong. And when he sees stuff he doesn't like, he's not afraid. Whether he's up 25 or 35-0, he didn't care. He just wanted to make sure that the kids were playing the right way and the way that he wanted them to. That's what mattered most.
And let's remember, Nick Saban wasn't born. He just merely shed woman.
He's in coaching elite now. He's one of only 4 coaches that have 4 national championships. He's in a rarefied era. And he actually has 4 national championships in 8 years of college coaching.
Alabama also became the 3rd team to win 3 national titles in 4 seasons.
With the Notre Dame team from
1936.
Notre Dame did it in the 40s, and Nebraska did it in the 90s.
Yeah, 94
I'm
through
confident
97.
that you have another Joe Paterno type thing, aside from the scandals, where he's going to be there for a long time to come.
I hope so. And I mean, I don't think it's going to be a money issue. I think Alabama will throw. I mean, the guy made $5.6 million this year. I'm pretty sure that even if pro teams come calling, they're not offering him much more than that. So I mean,
not by much.
He's king of an entire state. He runs it. He does whatever he wants.
Yeah,
I
personally, if I'm him, I'm not going.
He's
anywhere.
like the guy. He's
sitting
bigger
on
than the governor.
Golden chair. That's what he's doing.
Bigger than the governor. He's like, if there was a president of Alabama, it would be Nick Saban.
He's got the golden goose right now, and you don't give that up.
It's him and Bear Bryant right now. I mean, they're just.
I'm just
right
saying,
there as far as Alabama lore. He's catching up quick.
Like Fife said, he's like, if there was a president for a state, he'd be the president. The man is untouchable in that state. He's beloved. They could come out next year and go 1-12.
No, they can't.
No, I'm saying.
No,
I'm telling you right now, even if they did that, though, nobody in that state's going to say get rid of Saban. They'd give him a
I feel
hiccup.
like every small business owner is giving him a key to their store just in case, like, 3 in the morning he needs half a gallon of milk or something.
Yeah, like, Saban, you go do your thing, my friend. Just make sure to lock up on your way out.
Yeah, just leave a couple bucks on the counter. We
Yeah.
trust you.